I think it's really important we acknowledge we can't fix the past. We have a massive opportunity for the future, creating a more equitable kind of society and working environment.
When it comes to progress, I want that to have happened yesterday, in all honesty.
There was a recent ASA research which said 2/3 of consumers from minority groups still feel underrepresented.
There are so many underrepresented audiences in Britain that we need to see more in advertising and in all media. So there's no longer this need for a transition. It is the norm because that's our society, that's the society we live in.
This has to be an organization shift, and it can't be done in isolation by any one function. So organizations have to talk about it, they have to take a goal and then start chasing it, and then everyone has to kind of come together to do it. It can't be done in isolation.
Make sure that people in HR and people in recruitment are doing the same thing that the marketing people are. So I think what we find is the marketing team know that they need to sell a certain type of vision, but the company has to believe that vision too and live that vision. And that doesn't mean you all have to suddenly fire everyone and become someone different. It means that you all have to be open and learning so that when these people do come to your company, you're ready, you're authentic, you're inclusive, and you're accepting, and you help them feel like they belong.
For far too long, we've been discussing what change looks like and who's going to make the change, and you over there, and I'm going to do it, and you're going to do it, and nobody's going to do it, and nobody does anything.
You've got to get on and do it yourself, and that's what we've done within our business. We've taken it upon ourselves. We've run Get Involved schemes off the back of the Paralympics, where we just did a shout out to disabled talent, because my feeling was the Paralympics were going to come and go and then it'd be forgotten for another 4 years. And my view was, actually, why don't we use this moment to capture the next generation of disabled talent that are struggling to come through on the industry. We've already hired, in the space of 3 or 4 months, 5 disabled talent who work now in the business. So I think kind of take responsibility, don't look at other people to do the change, be the change.
I think the shift will only happen faster if more and more brands step into the playing field, because until it's really featured on all big brands, on the advertisers, you're not going to see such a big shift. It still becomes peripheral and you've still got the few brands, the few examples. So I think we need the industry to shift by all brands basically starting to represent.
They don't have to be an activist. They don't necessarily have to take active steps and do the do. Yes, they've got to walk the walk in their business, but if they can see, actually, I can do this and it's achievable, and if I take steps to ensure that I'm portraying people in a way that's authentic and positive and respectful to their culture and origins, then every brand can do this and have a great impact. So hopefully that understanding will speed up the pace of change.
There is change. It's not all negative, but we do need to accelerate and we do need to grow. With every problem, you can create a solution.
I remember going to a talk around the Paralympics and Channel 4's role in pushing representation there. And my favourite line, I think, was from the research agency, where they said they tested the follow-up to the Paralympics campaign, and one of the pieces of feedback was like, this is amazing, we love it, it's really, really great, but there's too many stumps in this, and it's really putting me off. And, you know, the response from Channel 4 could be, right, okay, let's measure how much we feature stumps in the ad and the communication, because it's putting people off. But the attitude and the response was, let's put more in. People need to get used to seeing this, and the more they get used to seeing this, the better they'll be, and the more accepted this kind of communication should be. And, you know, things like everybody rallying around the racism around Sainsbury's Christmas ads, all of that stuff gives me hope that, yes, it's slow, but people care and people are talking, and people will make a noise if it doesn't happen quickly enough.
One topic I'd really, really love a brand to take on head on is looking at like social economy and kind of I think it's one of the biggest issues within the UK, this kind of sense of a class system that really only benefits a few, again, really archaic system. And I think it's one of the biggest barriers to entry to our industry. I think it's one of the biggest barriers to entry to the storytelling, as I said, and sharing and presenting the stories from such a broader perspective.
The beauty privilege. I think there's something that we all talk about aspirational beauty versus real beauty, and loving people with flaws, or scraping the surface of plus-size models being featured as our hero characters and things like that. And I think we just don't go far enough. I think we just skirt along the sides of diversity is fine as long as everyone's good looking, or representing people is fine as long as you can see yourself wanting to be like them. And I think the most interesting build in advertising is actually, if we want to reflect people, let's be a bit more honest about what people look like. Let's help people celebrate who they are.
I think what I'd most desperately love to see is neurodiversity in the next generation of our children. And how do we celebrate that and show children like my son Miles that they're superheroes and they have a place, and it's our duty to do that.
I think the problem with marketing is we actually teach everyone coming up that they need to get themselves in the headspace of X community. I worked on FemFresh for 7 years and I don't have a vagina. I had to speak to and work with multiple different women to make sure that those authentic stories, I couldn't answer that brief really. All I could do was help forge it along the way. If I was talking to myself 10 years ago, it would be, you don't have to answer it, you don't have to sort of be the solution. Actually, you just have to help support that solution, and then you can help prove it with your skill set and your expertise.
If you don't know, ask, seek a mentor, seek somebody that has got insight and information that can advise you. And it's about disrupting the ante, but doing it in a powerful way. That's what I'm interested in, because if you want to make a change, you've got to do it in a way that's going to be lasting. I look at the Martin Luther King approach. His legacy is forever. Try and do things in the most peaceable way, but still disrupt the ante. Don't give up, never let go. Know your worth, know your value, and know your rights.
Representation in advertising has the power to create a more inclusive society broadly. And I think while there are some really brilliant examples of campaigns that are making a positive impact, we still have a really long way to go. We need to be braver in order to challenge assumptions and ensure that we're not just doing the same as what we've done in the past. I think we can all do more to speak up and challenge the status quo in order to make a positive difference.
I don't believe that advertising's impact stops at people who buy brands. I think seeing people that look like you and resemble your life and your experience on TV is hugely impactful in the way you behave, in the way you think your life could turn out.
UK is a very diverse country. Our data says about 23% of individuals identify as belonging to a minority group, and the advertising doesn't always reflect it. And as marketeers, advertisers, it's our responsibility to help change that. Yeah. At a more personal level, I would say I am a father to a 6-year-old son. He'll grow up in this country, and if I can play a part in him growing up in a world which is more inclusive, where he does not have to live true to a stereotype, he can be himself, what can be more important than that?